Hey everybody, Dr. Mike here. Just wanted to say hi and welcome to 9000 again for probably, I think, everybody. As we get underway, a couple comments um, about what I've learned in the last 9000, that being with you folks for the first time, as I learned a little bit more about how Walden does things. And I did post an announcement and want to kind of bring you up to speed as we get along. So welcome to class. My hope is that everybody moves to the next step or almost to the next step, certainly at least to get the prospectuses, prospecti, those things, get those things approved. Let's get those done in the next 11 weeks so you feel good going into the holidays and off into your proposal work next year. And if you're working on your proposal, many giant steps forward. So what I learned last term was there is so many resources. There are so many resources to choose from at Walden to help you with your prospectus, the prospectus rubric, the prospectus guide, the prospective guide book, all of the different websites and things that Walden has put together. It's really kind of overwhelming how much there is. But I want to mention that using those resources is what's going to get you through. Now, as you might have noticed last term, last quarter, much of my feedback has to do with getting the specific problem written properly. And I've mentioned it many times, and I think in my opening video a long time ago, there is nothing more challenging than that problem statement. And the reason is that problem statement represents something yet to be studied on the planet that has not been studied. It represents at the PhD level new knowledge. So when you propose a general comment to the university about there's a problem out there and I want to investigate it, they're going to say, okay, fine. What's the general problem? Well, the general problem is um, management has problems with retaining employees. Okay, so turnover is a problem in corporate America, and it's very costly. And I would say, okay, yeah, turnover is a problem in corporate America, and it is very costly. That is a problem, and I agree. What do you want to study? And if you say, well, I just want to study turnover in America, then I'm going to say, as the university, I'm going to say, can you please be more specific? What industry? For what reason? Under what conditions? Backed up by what research? So the hardest part, as far as I'm concerned, of getting underway and getting really a foothold on the dissertation process, the most challenging part is identifying the specific problem, validating that the problem exists with five, at least I think they call for five in your prospectus, cited um, legitimate academic sources like journals, for example, that verify that the problem exists. Um, Also, that the problem lends itself to investigation. Okay, in other words, your study has to be feasible, it has to be able to be done. So if someone said, well, I want to investigate um, corporate greed among the top largest organizations in the United States, I would say that's not feasible. How are you going to have access to the five top organizations and their leaders who are, by the way, greedy? So that's not a feasible study, even though it might be interesting. Um, in terms of feasibility, one of the things that comes up often, and you have to kind of think about this, is there's a real problem in corporate America, and it's corporate greed. Okay, fine, so on. And here's my specific problem, and the problem is specific and it's acceptable. But the problem with the problem often is in terms of feasibility. How can you go into an organization and ask them to please talk to you or contribute data or information that you use to publish worldwide about how bad they are or how problematic they are? So I want to go into a large aircraft manufacturer located in the Northwest United States. If you don't know who that is, just think about it. That would be Boeing. And without identifying that company, other than that, I want to go out and find out why they have such rapid turnover and why so many people feel disengaged. And I want to collect data from them. Well, who at Boeing would let you do that? I wouldn't. If you said, I want to come into your organization and I want to interview the people who believe that they're poorly treated by managers, who have low engagement, who have poor morale, and I want to figure it out why and write it up in my dissertation, which will then make Boeing look pretty bad. So that doesn't mean you can't get around things like that, but bear in mind when you continue on your prospectus work regarding the specific problem, it has to be doable, it has to be backed up, it has to be presented with evidence, it has to be, I said doable, it means it has to be feasible. You have to have at least some idea how you would go forth and collect the information that you need. So it may be that you return to the research resources to better understand what a specific research problem looks like in print. That can come in very handy. So at any rate, once you get past the specific research problem, the rest of the prospectus gets pretty easy to write, because the proposal, or excuse me, the purpose of your prospectus, proposal, dissertation is obviously to investigate the problem, as stated. Well, how do you want to investigate it? And that becomes the method. Do you want to collect data with surveys and so on? Or do you want to go in and interview people and talk to them and gather information that way? Whatever it is that you choose should answer your research question. The research question stems obviously from the problem, that specific problem that you want to investigate. So once you have a specific problem, then it's pretty easy to put the purpose together, and it's very easy to write the research questions, because basically it's, I want to know this about whatever your specific problem is. So if nurses, years ago I had a dissertation, nurses were leaving healthcare, is that a problem? Yes, nurses are bailing out of hospitals. Why? Because death rates elevate when nurse populations diminish in hospitals. That's fact, and that can be cited. So I had a student who said, yeah, what I want to know is whether or not an empowerment program would help keep nurses from leaving, would stop nurses from leaving, or at least affect nurse turnover. So there was a very specific problem, and it was doable. The research was doable because they had a empowerment program for nurses, and this student was able to find nurses who went through the empowerment program versus those who did not, and compare their departure rates or their turnover rates, and found out there was a significant difference between those who stayed and those who left. And the ones who stayed were the ones who predictably attended an empowerment program and had sort of a job redesign, if you will. So I tell you that story because there are a lot of things that you can do once you have a specific problem. The purpose statement will come together, the research question will come together, the method that you want to use will come together once you have the specific problem. It's very difficult, and here's my closing comment, folks, it's very difficult to write a prospectus and send it to me and fill out all of what's necessary beyond the specific problem, the purpose and the method. It's almost not even possible, because how can you tell me or the university, here's how I want to investigate this problem, which isn't specific enough. Here's the method I want to use to investigate this problem, which until you have an approved specific problem does not exist, folks. So if you're at that point in your prospectus where you're still working on the specific problem, then there's no need to go beyond that. Just work on that. Just help me understand what it is that you want to study specifically, back it up with the evidence that you have that says that the problem does exist, and let's go forward and get it worked out so that you can go on and submit your prospectus and move to the next step. Okay, so that's all I have to say about all of that stuff based on last quarter. Look forward to getting together with you guys and doing well and helping you all move forward best I can this quarter, so that we have a whole bunch of people next quarter working on their proposal. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know, and welcome to class. Let's get underway. Take care.